In this episode of It Came From My Side of the Laundry Room, we're going to take a little look at some of my Donald Duck collectibles and get back to basics with a fistful of Joes. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to It Came From My Side of the Laundry Room. This is the new and improved, full-fledged weekly show. So, we might have a few surprises in store and maybe switch things up just a little bit. But for now, let's take a look at some of my Donald Duck collectibles. Okay, I have a ton of Donald Duck stuff. He's always been my favorite Disney character. But I just gathered up a few things that were laying around, and I didn't dive into any of my boxes, but I still think these are fun to look at. So, first off, well, let me back up a second. Why did I choose to showcase Donald tonight? Because we're finally getting to see the other side of my side of the laundry room. So, this is where the camera usually sits and shoots that way. But this time I decided to mix it up. And we have Donald right here. He's always been waiting right here for his proper introduction. Now, this is a very, very heavy statue. Now, I got this dude on my very first and very brief trip to Disney World in 2009. At that time, I didn't know if I'd ever be back. I mean, that was my first time, and I was 36 or whatever at the time. No. 33? Sorry, 33 at the time. So, if that was going to be my only time, I was going to spend big. So, I got this dude. Luckily, I drove down and didn't have to fork over any extra for him on a plane. So he is safely driven home, and pretty much ever since I've moved into this house, he's sat right there. Always guarding, always ready to tussle up. But now that he's been introduced, let's get on to some of the smaller collectibles. Also on that trip, before Disney owned the Star Wars franchise, they had a lot more fun with it. And I found this dude. Darth Maul Donald. Now, I have another one, but we'll showcase him another day. But unfortunately, this one's been damaged. He lost some of his lightsaber, so make do with what I have, but it's still perfect in my eyes. I just hate to think of Donald getting sliced in half, but I guess he'd come back with bionic legs eventually. But very well sculpted. These are beautiful little figurines, if you want to call them that. Little statue, whatever. Caution, not a toy, so at least we know that much. But very well sculpted, very fun, very awesome. Now, two more bits of my collection, like I said, as I was just hunting around super quick, were some little golden books I grew up with. Now, I don't know if these were handed down to me from a family member, found at a Goodwill. I have no idea. But it was books like this that solidified my love for Donald Duck, because these are what I looked at ever since I was a very small child. Now, let's take a look at the publishing year here. 1952. You can see Santa there. Now, look at how Mickey was portrayed back then. A lot different than what he looks like now, but Donald, he's always been true blue. He hasn't changed that much. Look at this. That would be a beautiful poster. I'd love to get that supersized and hung on the wall. But like I said, books like this I grew up on. They weren't even from my generation, but they mean so much to me. Like I said, I don't know if these were handed down from a family member or just picked up from a Goodwill or something. Now here's another one. Now this one is even more special than that one in my eyes. But Donald Duck and the Mouseketeers. Now, the publishing date on this one is 1956, so it's actually more recent. A little bit more beat up because I sure did love looking at this. But he, meta, breaking the fourth wall, whatever, but he goes to the animation studio. And they're doing storyboards. And that always blew my mind, seeing all these other characters there. But then Donald, being Donald, makes his own storyboards. And for some reason, I just would look at this intently. Just all the little pictures of Donald. Ooh, here's some more little damage to the book. Probably by accident. I wasn't one of those kids that destroyed books. I've always loved books. But now he's the star, like he always wanted. But yeah, love these books as kids. I love golden books. I collect them. They're in my kids' rooms and we read them, but I have ones that span decades. But anyway, next are these Marx Toys. Like heavy plastic, which Marx is known for. Whoa, watch out, Donald. Toys, figures, whatever you want to call them. Giant army men. Like they can do like the Kid and Play dance. Anyway, not much to say about these. I actually picked these up at a flea market. Of course I had to have them. But these were made in 1971 by Marx. And unfortunately, Marx went out of business in 1980. But they did a lot of different Disney things. Some I have around here of other characters. And I think some they actually gave away as cereal prizes back in the day. But awesome. Now these I picked up at a convention and had them signed by Rosa, who is the artist that I believe took over from Carl Barks after he passed away on the Duck comics. But he was at a convention. Unfortunately, his table wasn't packed when it should have been, and he was selling these prints. As you can see, signed to Rob, Don Rosa. But I chose this one because the Trick or Treat short from Donald Duck is my absolute favorite cartoon of all time. If you remember it, it's the trick or treat, trick or treat, trick or treat for Halloween. When Witch Hazel finds the nephew sad because Donald's being a jerk on Halloween, and she helps him get all of his candy while torturing poor Donald. But I think that cartoon by itself made me a Halloween fan for life and a Donald fan for life. But I got that one, which soon they might be not replacing, but just substituting in the place of my Nocturnals poster here, just for something new. Maybe that'll be a new feature of the channel, is every month switch up the poster. But here's another one, another Halloween one I got from them. Again, he signed it for me. Just looking at this makes me happy. Makes me excited for Halloween. Look at that pumpkin. Look at the nephews. I always loved their costumes in that cartoon. Now this one is just Donald. And I just loved it because it kind of fit my personality at the time. But here he is just chilling out with his comic book collection. Almost looks like he's at the secret sanctum there of Doctor Strange. But he's reading his own comics. But if you know Donald, that's his way. But anyway, that's just a few pieces of my Donald Duck collection. And like I said, we're going to get back to basics and get a fistful of Joes. But first, a commercial break.
G.I. Joe! 地上最強のエキスパートチーム G.I. Joe 登場。秘密組織コブラが君を狙っている。G.I. Joe! 地球の平和をかけて G.I. Joe は立ち上がった。SF アドベンチャーヒーロー、その名は G.I. Joe!
Okay, now that we're back, Fistful of Joes time. Yo, Joe!
Yo, Joe!
Okay, like with all Fistful of Joes, grab one of my containers here, and I grab a random fistful of G.I. Joe figures. So let's take a look at what we get. Let's see here. Oh, got some good ones. Looks like we're a little light, so let me grab another one here. Okay. First off is the one I just grabbed. Beachhead. Now, I'm embarrassed about this one, I will admit. But this is a Fun School Beachhead. And at the time, I wasn't happy about his color scheme. So I painted him a darker green. The Fun School was a more lime green, I guess you could say, version of him. But I wanted to make him a little bit darker like his original version. And I did a horrible paint job. I could probably skim this off since it's just Toll paint. Maybe I will. But I got him with a bunch of my other Fun School Joes all at the same time. But he's the only one that I customized. But I mean, you gotta love it because it comes with all the original, even though they're more cheaply made, weapons and accessories. So he has his awesome gun, which I always dug, and his backpack with the crossbow. And I guess this, I'm speaking totally out of school here, is like a satellite radio hookup, like the umbrella of the satellite SATCOM. But anyway, that's a Fun School Beachhead that I screwed up. And like I said, I'm embarrassed about it. But we're all friends here, so I speak the truth. This guy tried to get away, but I caught him. One of my favorites I never had as a kid, and I was lucky enough to find him in a toy store much later. Complete-ish, I think. I think it's complete. But Tripwire. Ooh, he's a little loosey-goosey in the waist, as you can see. But he's in pretty decent condition. Have a little bit of slight rust on the thigh screws, his backpack screw isn't too hateful. But he comes with his mines in the backpack there. But he was one I always wanted. For some reason I didn't get him. I think it was just that he was not readily available. But there he is with his minesweeper. Or his metal detector when he's out on the beach on leave. Boop, 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 boop. Ah, bottle cap. Damn it. Doo, doo, doo. A penny. Hooray. But anyway, I always loved this dude. I think because he was very unique when at least I first heard of him, because he was the second wave of Joes, if I remember correctly. Swivel arm. But he looked different than the first wave. So I think when I first saw him, it blew my mind because he didn't look like the original dark green Joe figures. I mean, I'm assuming like his pants are probably redid of, well, maybe. He's got a different piece there on the front. But like the back with the pocket and the pistol here was pretty common. The boots are definitely different in the arms, and of course the head, the chest there. Again, sorry for the hunka hunka burning love. Sorry for the waist there. I don't want to put a new band in there because I don't want to screw it up in the process. I'd rather it fall apart naturally and then fix it. Ooh, another one here that I was lucky to find for a pretty good price, complete. Hopefully I don't drop all of his crud here. But 1987's Fast Draw. Here, let me put this on. You can see him without his gear first. But a very colorful character. And of course, as I've mentioned before, excuse me a second, in past episodes, I just gravitate towards unique and cool color combinations. So he has a flip down visor here. And he's got a quilted front, but not a quilted back. But let's get him all geared up here, shall we? Forgive me, I'm not going to put the hoses on because they're wound up pretty neat, so I don't want to mess them up. We'll put his one hose on. That went from his mask. Where the heck did it go? Assuming it went here on his backpack. Sorry, folks. Sorry, folks. It's been a while since I even played with this dude. Here we go. A hose from his helmet on over. And he came with triggers for this missile system that's now upside down. What the heck's going on here? Yeah, I put the missiles on backwards. Anyway, so since it will be difficult. He came with triggers for this backpack that you could pretend that he was arming the missiles and then going to fire them at somebody. Awesome as a kid. I mean, anything that shot missiles, especially on a dude, was awesome. I mean, I was always a fan of the movie Commando with that big missile launcher, so someone like this dude, it's like, oh yeah, that takes it up a notch. He ain't messing around. And we have his file card to the gray. You know, the gray, I think, was cool, but I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for the original tan, yellow, whatever color you want to call them, file cards. But before we dive into the next figure, let me pick this fool up. Yep, got his hose. Back into the bag with ye. How dare you try to run? Seal him up in the bag. Now the next figure. Classic. Classic. This blew my mind, and honestly, I still get chills. The Sgt Slaughter. There was nothing more awesome than seeing him on Saturday morning wrestling. Then all of a sudden, he's in my favorite cartoon. Now granted, he had his heel and face moments on wrestling, but hero through and through in G.I. Joe. I wish I still had the baton, and he's got a lot of wear on him. What year is he from? 1988. But they were just like, this is probably a strong over-exaggeration for saying this, but like cultural watersheds. And as a kid, this was like the two things clashing together. Real life with your favorite toy and your favorite cartoon and your favorite comic book. Mind-blowing. Excuse me. Now here's another fun school that I got. And yet again, it's a character I always wanted as a kid but never had. But it's Buzzer, the Dreadnought. The Dreadnought without his backpack at the moment, but that's fine. His backpack looks like a fuel can. I'm assuming to power up his chainsaw gun. Which again, these fun school accessories weren't as well made, so I'm not going to mess with it. Very cheap, very flimsy. I mean, they're also, you can light passes through them. That's how chintzy they are. But that's his chainsaw gun. This nasty axe blade on a chain, the cut fools. And just an awesome looking figure. And it's really close, other than quality issues, to the original figure. So I'm happy to have them in place of the original at the moment. If I ever come across the original for a decent price, I'll definitely get it. But for now, he makes me happy enough being in my collection. Excuse me. Anyway, that's been another installment of Fistful of Joes. I hope you enjoyed it. And, like I said, it came from My Side of the Laundry Room. Is now a permanent fixture here at My Side of the Laundry Room. So, Every week we'll be hitting you up with more junk from my area and maybe some other things. Different reviews, quick reviews, video games, a little bit of everything. So always check back. It could be something new. Leave comments. I always enjoy when you guys give me your thoughts on G.I. Joe figures or whatever I'm talking about. So leave a comment, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And until then, I'll see you next week. Yo Joe, keep being rad, stay dorky. Catch you next time.
アドベンチャーヒーローその名は
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, hit the subscribe button for some more awesome videos. We also have a couple here on the side you might be interested in. And until next time, thanks for watching, keep being rad, and stay dorky.